events in a long time, I have to admit I had to track down something other than some homes slipped me a while to find them, even before I could come out today. Now, as many of you know, Minnesota Housing hosts an annual funding cycle to help finance the construction and preservation of rental homes that are affordable throughout all knows that it brings together many different state and all into a spot into a single process to try and select as many projects as possible in Bloom Lake Flats. Not surprisingly, and was just said, the demand for funding and for true affordability continues to exceed supply. In 2019 and in 2020, Minnesota Housing was able to select a combined 70 multifamily projects with more than 4,100 units through this consolidated RFP process. The only way we were able to select that many projects was with a uniquely Minnesotan invention, something called the Housing Infrastructure Bond. Now, I'll spare you all the infrastructure bond is today. Suffice to know it's an important funding source. And in fact, I can't overstate the role of housing infrastructure bonds as a critical funding source to build and preserve affordable rental homes throughout all of Minnesota. In the last two funding rounds alone, that 2019 and 2020 process, housing infrastructure bonds were involved in more than 40% of those selected projects. To be a little bit more direct, the number of projects selected would have been about 40% less without those housing infrastructure bonds, and we know we need more affordable homes. Now, why do I share this context other than the importance of that funding source? It is because housing infrastructure bonds represent a significant part of the funding package for Bloom Lake Flats. With these housing infrastructure bonds and with the help of really important public funders that I see out in the audience and a lot of other private partnerships and a lot of hard work, we are standing here today for this groundbreaking. So I must express my gratitude to the legislature and to the governor for these past investments that make days like this possible. Housing infrastructure bonds have made projects possible from Duluth to Owatonna, Mankato, Moorhead, and of course here in Minneapolis. And now we are eagerly awaiting news on the potential for additional bonds from the legislature in this 2021 session that would be part of this next consolidated RFP. So you bring those two pieces together and you can see why it's also important. Now, as a finance person, I could talk numbers and funding programs all day long, but I suspect a lot of you are not terribly interested in spreadsheets and financing terms today. And that's because we know that projects like Bloom Lake Flats are not just about numbers. It is about serving households. It's about serving people, because this will be homes for people that need deeply affordable places to live. It is about providing support, building partnerships, working with neighborhoods, and making connections to make projects like this possible. The financing and the groundbreaking is only the start. Bloom Lake Flats will become a community asset for generations to come. Kind of going back to the financing side, think about that positive multiplier effect of having safe, stable, affordable homes and services that are connected to and contributing to the community. That is the real investment. We are proud to be part of this at Minnesota Housing. Thank you to everyone that has contributed to this project. I look forward to getting back for a grand opening, not just the groundbreaking. With that, I'm very excited to introduce Commissioner Chris Latendresse with Hennepin County. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Thanks, James, and thanks everyone for being here today. My name is Chris Latendresse. I am a Hennepin County Commissioner, one of 7, but I'm also the one chair of the Hennepin Housing and Redevelopment Authority. That's our HRA, and that's the primary vehicle that Hennepin uses to advance our investments in the affordable housing space. With this particular project here today, last year Hennepin County awarded just over $1 million to make this project possible, one of several partners that made this project possible. And I underscore that amount because that represents one of the largest investments Hennepin County has ever made in an affordable housing project. And it's really important because there's a number that I want you all to remember today as it relates to Hennepin County. 44,000. There are 44,000 households in Hennepin County that spend more than half of their monthly income on rent. And that has contributed to an expanding and accelerating crisis of affordability and intersection with homelessness that is not only making those families and those households that experience that crisis insecure, it makes all of us less secure. And it's the reason why these investments matter a great deal. Hennepin County is here and ready to partner. We are here today because of what this project is going to mean for the 42 households that will call this place, the ground you're now standing on, home in the future. But we're also here today, and Hennepin County is here today, because of what this project signals about Hennepin County's commitment to projects like this and to where we're going with these investments in the future. Just last week, Hennepin County's HRA made another round of unprecedented, historic $17.1 million investment in affordable housing across the spectrum, but especially focused on deeply affordable housing. That represents more than a doubling of our investments since 2018. And the turning point for Hennepin came a couple of years ago with our supportive housing strategy. We're in year 3 now of a 10-year, $100 million strategy aimed at building 1,000 new units of deeply affordable and supportive housing like this project is making possible today. And it matters because I believe that this is a moment that calls for a Minnesota Marshall Plan for affordable housing that matches the scale of the problem with public resources equal to that challenge. And we're only going to get there if we do it together. The state of Minnesota, counties like Hennepin and neighboring counties, and our partners in city government. So thank you all for being here today. This is a really exciting day and moment. And I'm going to turn things over to Angie Skildum at the City of Minneapolis, who's going to talk about Minneapolis's role.
Thank you. Is it on?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner, and I'm very pleased to be here. I am Angie Skildum with the City of Minneapolis. I am the manager of the residential finance team for the CPED, and there's really not a lot left to say about this very wonderful project, but I do want to just let everybody know how happy we are at the city to see that this project is finally coming together after a lot of hard work by a lot of people, and talk a little bit about why Bloom Lake Flats is such an important project to the City of Minneapolis. Bloom Lake Flats really rings the bell on virtually all of our core housing values when it comes to housing. It advances racial equity. By helping eliminate racial disparities in access to affordable housing, and meeting all of its established inclusion goals for minority-owned businesses and enterprises as part of the construction and participation, it's critical to us in that way. It expands opportunities for Minneapolis renters. By disrupting historical wealth extraction and disinvestment in BIPOC communities, and advancing equitable development, like we heard Paul speak so eloquently about earlier, we're really addressing community needs. It helps us prevent the involuntary displacement of residents while we see recovery and community development continuing here along Lake Street. And it's an excellent example of how the city prioritizes resources and invests in households that are facing the most severe housing instability. 42 units of deeply affordable housing, supported through project-based vouchers and housing supports from the Hennepin County. 21 of them are designated for families who are homeless. These needs are very visible in our community right now. And also, as Phoebe talked about, the critical stability that it will provide to families who are living with HIV/AIDS, who are not always so visible in our community. And then, of course, the fact that there's supportive services available to everybody so that they can continue to be sustain their housing successfully into the future. And last but not least, this project helps us develop sustainably. And we haven't talked a lot about that today, but I do want to just point out that by tapping into the city's Green Cost Share program into solar incentives and through investments from the city's Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which has a lot of requirements and incentives around green development and using the green community standards. It's really raising the bar on building energy efficient and healthy homes for families that help us meet our greenhouse gas and reduction goals in the city as well. So Bloom Lake Flats is really critical to us. It helps us meet many of our Minneapolis 2040 goals as well in terms of our comprehensive planning for the city. There's too many to mention really, but we think about new affordable housing production here, bringing higher use to this underutilized land with density and scale near transit and jobs, employing innovative partnership and housing strategies. We already talked about addressing, helping us address our homelessness in our community. And then again, pointing out leveraging housing with other community benefits. And we can point again to the beautiful family partnership building next door and all of the great synergy and partnerships that will come from that going forward. So on behalf of Mayor Fry and Councilperson Cano, on behalf of all of CPED, congratulations to PPL and to Clare Housing. And I know everyone has worked really hard to get there. I want to just take 1 minute to acknowledge some of the staff on my team who have done so. Oliver Smith, Susie Shepard, Mike Williams, Amy Geisler, and Nikki Newman. We cannot wait for the grand opening. And with that, I'm going to throw it back to Paul and Phoebe.
Thank you, Angie. Good job. Thank you so much. Thanks, Angie. Just wanted to build on one of the last things she was talking about and the beauty of the family partnership building. I mean, we talk a lot about people and places and the impact on real people, real families in Clare is job number one. A very close job number two, though, is how do the places that we create impact communities and neighborhoods. And I was just looking, Molly, at the beauty of this building, and it really is. This is placemaking, and if you've seen renderings of the project that we're going to build here with Clare, there's a beauty to that, and beauty and design, fabulous work by our architects and our construction partners. These things matter in communities. So again, how we rebuild is as important as what we rebuild, and I just think this is a wonderful opportunity to kind of continue that on an avenue that desperately needs that kind of hope and a sign of investment. We are investing in this community. We are not running away. So over to you, Phoebe.
Thanks, Paul. So I have my final words to say, and I can't reiterate enough, so I'll say it one more time. Though it's 42 households, and we heard that big number, no, there's hundreds of people out there. For each one of those 42, putting yourself in their shoes and coming into a home that's safe, that's desirable, that's beautiful. It's a wonderful thing that we're doing together. And I hope everybody takes a chance to just celebrate that and the work that you all have put into it. There are so many people to thank. I think I'm not speaking out of turn to say the project is 7 years and more in the making. So good job, all of you. And especially I want to thank the Clare Housing staff who, when it comes down to it, it comes back to that relationship. They're sitting across from that person who may not know how to fill out an application, or maybe afraid they've never taken their driver's test and this is the first time, or maybe they don't know how to access healthy food. And that staff person is listening, they're sharing with them, and they're supporting them along their journey. And it starts with home. So I just want to thank my staff as well, and all of you. I do hope you celebrate and take a moment to just relish the beauty that will come from your work. And thank you for watching. If you're watching, I'm glad that you made it today. We hope to have a really big party when we're actually doing the grand opening, maybe a year from now. Don't count on that, but I think that is the end of our program. But please stay. We're going to show, to those of you watching, a short video, and then we will be shoveling some dirt. So if you're here, please stay so we can enjoy the dirt together. Thank you so much. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
All right, ready? Are you ready?
Ready?
No.
Now?
Are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Oh, okay. To me, Claire Housing is stability. Claire Housing to me is everything.
Well, you know, everybody here has one. We're all HIV positive.
I met Leroy when he was homeless. You want to chase it, Leroy?
No. Rick is my partner. He's a good friend, my lover, and I don't enjoy being with him.
Tell me. Being gay as a child was not okay.
My HIV, it was hard with people accepting me because I have HIV. They think it's sometimes contagious, I think.
Yay! When I moved to Claire Housing, it was very, very strange to me because they were so accepting.
Some people shun you. They don't want nothing to do with you. And at Claire Apartments, people there accept who you are.
I'm so glad they let us have dogs here.
Yeah.
And we've never, ever, ever been condemned or anything for that. And it's kind of like being okay. I'm going to school and I want to be an accountant or I want to work with people with HIV. Claire Apartments, they enjoy us being there as much as we enjoy them. You know, we are very grateful that we have a place together and we have a lovely little apartment and you couldn't ask for any more than that. We don't hope for things anymore. We already got what we've always hoped for.
I grew up on the reservation. My mom and dad, they raised me very, very well.
You didn't carry this out for me?
Taught me the rights and wrongs. I would say when I was 18, when I actually got into a relationship, apparently he was HIV positive. That's where I got HIV. It was challenging. I had a son who was born HIV positive and a daughter who's not. He's healthy right now. He's a 23-year-old healthy male. And my daughter's a 25-year-old healthy female. And they gave me grandkids. And then I went to the nursing home. I was only supposed to be there for like a month. And I went on to a whole year. And then when I was finally ready to be discharged, I didn't have no place to go because I lost my apartment, I lost everything. I was basically homeless. They were building a new building for Claire Apartments for HIV individuals, where I finally got to move into the Claire Apartments, and it's been heaven since.
Still in there. Wow.
Well, Claire Housing lets me have the grandkids as much as I want.
I'm still in here.
And with those grandkids, they inspired me to live longer and live healthier.
All right, come in, Juanita. How you doing?
All right.
The nursing has been wonderful, because without them, I would probably miss a lot of my meds. That's been keeping me healthy.
How are you doing, Juanita?
The comfort and the safety I feel in the Claire Apartments, it feels so comfortable and so safe. As soon as I walk into that door, it's like I'm home. And it's like I got arms wrapped around me. And they welcome my grandkids so much that I just, there's no words in the world that to tell me how thankful I am for Claire Housing.